Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Horses. Greg Wolf, Sarah Albadwi. It's really cool to kick off a meet doing Talking Horses together and kind of set the stage for it. Hopefully, we set a good tone for things coming up. Saratoga in the books. Did you have a good summer?
I mean, it's incredible to finally be there for an entire meet and get to see what it's like going to the track every single day, and also just see how hard everybody works, both in front of the camera as well as, on the backside and in the trucks as well, and everybody really putting their all together for the entire meet. So couldn't have done it without everybody else involved as well, but it's nice to take a little bit of a break and get back to the city and start fresh.
Yep, and we're going to be in for the long haul once again at Aqueduct, Belmont at the Big A, kicking off this afternoon, and we're going to start with a jump race, which we'll get into in a minute. We'll talk about that momentarily. Let's do all the business first before we get into handicapping today's card. I want to remind everybody, get signed up, started. You can play along with all the action all meet long and beyond by playing with Naira Bets, that $200 offer, deposit match sign up bonus with the code MATCH200 at nairabets.com. And bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Few pick fours. Races 3 and 4 actually have pick fours that begin in the middle of the card, and there's that $10,000 opening day hit split. Opt in at nairabets.com for more information on exactly what those wagers are. But good luck to everybody. So some extra pools with money on the table if you're successful to go after today. More incentive. And we're on the air on FS2. I'll be on early, including that jump race, that Lonesome Glory Handicap Grade 1. From 1 to 4 Eastern, and then again 5:30 to 6 FS2 coverage with the last race of the afternoon here on opening day. Here we go. You ready?
I'm so ready.
One of the big stories, I guess, as we kind of get into this meet, it was thrilling. One of the best finishes, I guess, was that Zenyatta-like close from Linda Rice to catch up to Chad Brown, the two in a deadlock, 35 wins apiece for the training title, 5 wins in a row on this training title circuit in New York for Linda Rice. But day 39 after the first race, she was still 5 back and
Incredible.
Somehow managed to tie Chad Brown.
And in the absolute most dramatic way possible, winning that last race,
Yeah.
able to be down there in that winner's circle and see how excited she was, that she was able to get that tie in. And just, you really thought that he was going to pull away by a certain point. And of course, we had so much going on at the meet as far as a lot of races coming off the turf, but just still, both of them incredibly successful. And I think that a lot of those trends are worth paying attention to as we come into this meet of what barns did so well in Saratoga, and will they be able to continue that momentum?
Yeah, congratulations to both, too. It's a big accomplishment, too, with all those races that did come off the turf for Chad Brown to still have as great a Saratoga as he did, but for Linda Rice to continue winning meet after meet. We'll see she's going for a 6th consecutive now at this Belmont at the Big A meeting. Let's jump into this card today. Jump race to kick things off. And for Jack Fisher and Snap Decision in this Lonesome Glory Grade 1, beginning of really a 2-race campaign here, back-to-back Grade 1s, where they're going to try and win a championship for this 9-year-old.
And he's just so cool. I mean, you have to appreciate the level of competitiveness that he brings to his career and just how he's been able to sustain it for such a period of time and be in such great form throughout. And he's, one of those horses, whether you're really into handicapping the jump races or you just appreciate watching them, you have to be a fan of a horse like Snap Decision. But this is a pretty decent group that he's going to be facing.
Yeah, those that watched him at Saratoga last summer, and that was just a dominant display in that Grade 1 Jonathan Shepard. That was probably him at his best. His trainer, Jack Fisher, believes he's a massive standout. He's conceding at least 20 pounds to everybody in this field just to show you how good he is. He's going to be pretty tough today.
I think so, too. I'm looking forward to just seeing him run and seeing how well he does and if he's able to sort of bring that kind of performance that we have come to expect from a horse like that as well. All
right, we'll have live coverage of that. So we're going to kick off our card, that jump race, Grade 1 and Snap Decision back in action. Let's get into the flat racing. Pick 5. We'll start in race number 2. It's a maiden special weight, the first flat race of this Belmont at the Big A meet. 1-turn mile and Black Rain, 8-5 morning line favorite here in this spot for trainer Todd Pletcher. We're going to see this horse in action around Ortiz Jr., so we know this horse is going to get completely overbet. But I really feel like he should be anyway. As you look at the beginning of this race, he had the outside post that day. You see him kind of veer out. And he kind of moved in concert in this race with Quality Chick, who's going to be in this race as well. He was wide the entire time. Quality Chick was inside and actually had the rail and the stretch. It just feels like this horse has a ton more upside than Quality Chick, who's going to be making start number 9. This will be start number 2 for Black Rain.
Exactly, and I think that's kind of the theme as you look through the rest of this field, because everybody's had their fair share of chances, and he's the one with less chances to lose. And even looking here, he's still waiting to change leads, lugging in seemingly a little bit in the stretch, though well kept to task in the later stages. And just as you mentioned, he was always so wide on the course, whereas the other horse that was in this race that's going to be facing him again got to save more ground, be towards the inside, and just has had so many more opportunities than he has had. So not a very creative start to things, but I do really feel that this is just the obvious horse to beat in a spot like this, because aren't you just kind of tired of everybody else?
I thought he was the most likely winner of anybody in this field. He had a huge work too, August 31st. You never know. Horses can click on. Things can come together for him, and Quality Chick actually did run okay last time out. But yeah, a lot of opportunities for that horse. I thought he was the most logical winner actually on the card today.
Really? Best bet of the day?
He doesn't, well, look, he's going to be a really short price, but I feel like he can actually regress a little and still win this race today.
Yeah, he doesn't really have to move forward much in order to be successful in a spot like this. And as you go through the field, it's just tough to really make the case that somebody else is going to show some sort of dramatic improvement. They might have that race in the past, but where is it lately? And
Yeah.
I really do feel as though he's just going to be very tough in a spot like this.
Braggadocious fourth for you, huh?
That's one where I'd love to make more of a case for him as he does put the blinkers on, because that first race is the one race that could make him competitive in a spot like this, but where is it?
Yeah, what's happening?
Maybe he doesn't want to go 1.25 miles like he did second time out. Maybe he doesn't want to be on the turf. I just wish he ran better last time so that I could make some sort of move up or excuse for him, but that last race was not very good.
Yeah. All right, that's going to kick off the early pick 5 and this meet. Can we get off to a good start off the bat?
With
I feel like
I hope so.
It's important to set the tone and just get off to a good start.
Yeah.
But hey, if not, we can find excuses and we can find our wins somewhere
Always,
else.
right?
All right, so third race, we have another New York bred maiden special weight here. This is at 6 furlongs. Todd Pletcher, Norm Cassie, George Weaver, these 3 horses to the outside. They all have a race under their belt. Of those 3, who did you feel ran the best debut?
I think you have to go with Quiet Wisdom, who we actually do have a replay for, because this was a horse that was likely facing the best field, I think, first time out, and maybe not overall, but at least the best main rival that was able to get the better of him, because Tall Paul was coming in for Bob Baffert, who was running on the West Coast, but he's a New York bred. He just made a lot of sense in a spot like this, and Quiet Wisdom had some good forward position, really tried to get past this rival, showed that good early speed first time out, and ultimately, I think he just ended up being second best. So of the ones that have that start and have that little bit of experience so far, I think that he's the likeliest one and the one I'd want of those 3.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that was a speedster, lone speed for Baffert, and it was such a long way back. He actually battled that horse for a little bit too, and had every right to be a little bit green in that debut. Numbers-wise, at least, you know, when I look at Thoroughgraph as a much bigger figure from Catalina Crush, I didn't love that race though, because the 2 horses who've come back to run out of that race have gone completely backwards. Not to say that he will. He ran actually a very good figure in that race. He had a little trouble at the beginning as well. But I'm with you. I just like the battle that he had with Quiet Wisdom. Having said that, we both went to a first-time starter in here with that big pedigree.
I know. I mean, Bar of Gold, she needs no introduction, but of course, successful on all 3 surfaces, most famous for that 2017 Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint with that gigantic upset at
66 to 1.
66 to 1. Incredible. But she's also been a producer so far, very limited offspring, but this one's a full to coinage. We know him a little bit more for being more successful routing on turf, but he ran okay in his first couple of starts, sprinting on the dirt, able to break his maiden second time out. So there's enough precocity here. And I just wanted somebody as an alternative because of the horses with experience. None of them ran so well on debut that I don't think a live first-time starter could get the better of them.
Yeah, look, that's going to jump off the page for everybody. Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint winner, but did win first time out. And people say, oh, to your point again, is it just turf pedigree? No, yeah, Coinage actually was 3rd in the debut against Barise, who turned into a very nice horse and actually broke his maiden on dirt by 7+ lengths, sprinting. And then actually was 3rd in a stake. It was only a 4-horse field, but still ran okay in that race. So yeah, I thought there was some big upside in here. Those 3 that ran,
they all kind of
none
feel
of them
the same.
Yeah,
in
were
a
these
way,
big
you know?
standouts really.
Right, I agree. And I think Catalina Crush, I get why the favoritism, at least on the morning line, is there, because this horse does have the best buyer speed figure of those three with experience and was able to make up a little bit of ground in the later stages. But with this one, there's two siblings that really seem to prefer the turf. And the dam was a little bit more turf meant as well, not that they couldn't handle the dirt. Is a half to Out of Orbit who was better on that surface. So there is some versatility, but I wonder if we'll see this one going a little bit further on the grass later on as well.
And we should, and Catalina Crush, by the way, for Norm Cassidy, we should give a shout out to
What a
Norm
meet
Cassidy
he
for what an
had.
incredible meet.
Incredible.
It felt like hot springs all over again back in the winter and spring when he was, over close to 60% for a lot of that meet.
Everything he sent out was live.
Incredible job by him. So we'll see if it's the horses with experience. Typically, you like to go with experience, right, in these kind of races. But yeah, it seemed like maybe a new face would be the way to go there, especially with that pedigree. Race 4, mile and a 16th. We're going to be on the turf for the first time on these flat races here in this allowance optional claiming race for New York breds. And we agree again with our top selection in here, Orange Freeze.
Stop copying me, Greg.
Tough race. There's no speed in this race, and I'm trying to find someone who could be a little bit more forwardly placed because Orange Freeze comes from so far out of it, and we're going to see this race from her last time out. I just think that the rail was out this day in this race. She still ran so good. She had to go so wide to try and put in a bid, and she's been so consistent against better quality horses than some of the others who had question marks when they faced better.
She's really moved up so much since switching over to the Maury barn, able to break her maiden for the $40,000 tag and then come right back and win a stakes race in that Statue of Liberty division for the New York breds. And then the horse that's beating her in here, Silver Skillet, she's not so bad either for the Clement barn. She's been very successful and in great form lately too. So I just feel as though getting the slight class relief, dropping from New York Bred Stakes Company into this allowance race for the state breds, she just made so much sense from the outside as well. And I think that you're dealing with a horse that's in the best form lately.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you went to runner-up and you're spinning Colors, who's put together 2 in a row for Mark Hennig. What'd you like with her?
She's just really improved since switching over to the turf as well. And she faced a pretty salty field last time in that allowance race. There were a lot of ways that you could go in a spot like that. And while she wasn't necessarily improbable, she was probably not the horse that a lot of people were leaning towards in that spot. But I think that she ran very well in there. And I think that just being on this surface now is what she wants to do. They're figuring that out with her. And again, of the horses that we've seen lately in this field, because they all kind of have that race in there that makes them competitive, I just like what she's done lately more.
And we're get a little crystal ball into how this meet is going to go for Linda Rice. It's one horse, but Collaboration overmatched in that Susie O'Kane. Is this filly going to bounce back for her, the 4 with Jose Ortiz, who would put together at least crossing the wire first a couple of starts, but then face some better company and struggled?
And those last couple of races do just sort of have to be a concern given the field that she's facing today, because you have horses that were successful at that kind of level, and she's just not one of them. But again, those races are in there somewhere. And this is a horse, too, that I do like being a little bit more forward. So perhaps that's the tactic today, because it's not as though there's a ton of confirmed speed going on. Yeah,
you got to think Jose Ortiz is going to be very aggressive. Right? This could be a crawling pace early on in here, and that's a concern.
It often is.
for certainly for Orange Freeze, who's maybe going to be last of everybody in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, given that this is such a short field, I don't think anybody's going to be too far away. But maybe you make the argument that dulls her running style at her closing kick. But I just think that she's the best spot in here.
Race 5, then we break?
Sure.
Your call.
We can do whatever you want.
No, it's your call.
No, let's do race 5 and then we break.
So race 5 starts the pick 6. 25,000 non-winners and 2 lifetime. I had any race on this card, I had the most trouble with this. I wound up changing my selections probably 3 or 4 times.
If I had known that we were so similar throughout the first part of this card, I might have made some changes.
I was very disappointed in myself winding up with Happy Bob in this spot, but the more I went back to this race, this horse actually looked very logical. We're going to show you that race from back on August 16th. Have we agreed in every race so far?
Yeah.
With our top selection? That's fine. We're going to
fine.
sweep the card today. This was going a mile and an eighth, and it just looks like potentially cutting back to the mile might be perfect. You see this horse opens this huge lead, and I feel like Flavien Prat, outside post with the 9, sort of had to force his hand with this horse because that turn comes up so quick, that configuration at a mile and an eighth. He didn't want to get caught wide that day, and I don't necessarily know if that's the way this horse wants to run. So potentially taking out of his comfort zone.
And given today's post position draw as well, with Flavien Prat staying aboard from the rail, don't you think he's going to go anyway? So as a rider, I trust him to be the one that's making more of an aggressive decision to whether or not he ends up actually being on the lead. I trust that he's going to get that forward position and make the right decision in terms of how the pace is playing out around him. And I know that it might look like there's some other speed that's going to be faster than him towards the outside, but this was a game effort. I like that he was given the opportunity to get comfortable, get his position going forward, as Richard Migliore always likes to say. And I just don't feel as though that's going to change too much today, because you have horses to the outside that are also quite a bit more untrustworthy than he is lately, even though they are dropping in class.
Yeah, my whole point was I don't think he has to be that aggressive and try and get to the front. We'll see. Okay. I don't know. But Flavien Prat very often, he likes to send when he knows he can be in front. I thought Mama's Gold to 6 is maybe the one who's going to be in front, and maybe Happy Bob can sit off that horse in here. But the more I went back and looked at some of these closers, they're, like you said, they're just not trustworthy in this spot. And I really good rapport I was intrigued by, but I felt like that's another horse that was potentially going to try and send in this spot. And we'll see what he does in here. He faced a much better horse than he's facing in this group today in Money Supply last time out. So he was interesting to me a little bit, but the cutback for Happy Bob might just be perfect for him.
Right, I agree. And I just can't trust horses like Gut Feeling or Inspector. So they can certainly win, but I didn't want them at what I thought would be a shorter price.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We will get into the late pick 5, race 6, right after this.
Born in the foothills of the Adirondacks over 150 years ago, the Saratoga brand has become synonymous with quality, carefully crafted spring water. Each stunning blue glass bottle is created with the same attention to detail and care that has been the Saratoga hallmark for generations. So open a bottle, take a sip, and savor the Saratoga experience. Saratoga, an American classic that's always in good taste. Make every day exquisite.
All right, back with you on Talking Horses. We'll get into this late pick 5 coming up. Greg, Sarah with you. And a restricted maiden special weight, 6 furlongs on the dirt to start off the late pick 5 sequence in a very wide open race to start it off.
So many entries. Have you ever seen in recent history a coupled entry and then another coupled entry, and it includes 5 horses?
Yeah, we used to see this a lot, and we've kind of gotten away from that. But yeah, old throwback race here.
I just couldn't take any parts of the entry on top, even though there are some of them that make some sense in a spot like this, because I feel as though that bettors will kind of gravitate towards horses like this, like, oh, 2 horses, but I get 5. You know, it might seem like a better deal than it actually is.
Yeah. The horses that ran in here, I just, again, did not love. You wound up going to, and definitely a major player. No one would surprise me in here. But the Greg Sacco horse you have on top here, what'd you like with Charlie's Express?
Well, we have a replay for this one in the race that this one ran in last time out at Monmouth, because this is a horse that was more forwardly placed from the rail, and I know that this horse is piling up the chances so far, but you see him down towards the inside. He's the number 1 horse, and he's really been building quite the foundation and showing the early speed, not able to sustain it, but I do feel as though there has been improvement in his races so far. And the line in here says that he's sort of checked and steadied because another horse is coming over on him, and there does end up being a disqualification. He ultimately ends up finishing 3rd in this spot. And in the comment lines on Daily Racing Form, it says that Paco stood up at the wire and that that's not what happened. And we'll take a look at the head-on as well so that you can see that horse kind of shift over and him having to check a little bit. So I don't necessarily agree with either of those statements. I think that it sort of seemed like another horse was coming over, and maybe just out of precaution, there's a little bit of movement to check him out of that spot. He was never winning this race anyway. But I think this is just a good example of needing to go back and watch a replay and not necessarily just believing what's written on the piece of paper. What was your take on that situation?
No, look, major player. Yeah, I didn't think it was nearly as, it seemed like he was trying to sell that a little bit more and never was going to win the race. I agree with you. But having said that, I still think it's a major player in the race. And of those who've run, I know even I don't have him in there in this spot, but I'm in all my whatever I'm playing today, I'm going to go deep as deep. But I'm absolutely including that horse in who I'm using this afternoon.
Are you a person to ever press the all button?
Oh, absolutely. I've had most of my best scores. I've used the L button.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely has a place in this game. And yeah. Do you utilize it or no?
I rarely do, but I won't say never.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a must. It's incredible though, and I have this conversation with Jonathan Kinchin a lot. My strike rate when I go all but one, no joke, it is about 80%, at least 80% or higher that one I leave out will win. It's incredible how do the racing gods know? It just tells you though that you feel that way. You think it's a wide open race, anyone can win. Don't leave one out.
I am more against the all but one than I am the all. I think that's just asking for a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you went to another horse that's probably going to be a price in here towards the outside.
Yeah, I mean, this horse may get a little bit of attention. The horse actually had a very good work. September 9th, got a solid B for that workout. The dam was unraced, but did produce 3-time turf winner, traipsing. It was actually graded stakes place on the grass, but script won on the dirt. Actually was stakes place on the dirt at Parks. And I wound up being stakes place on the turf at Del Mar as well. And then a horse that it was all at a lower level, but wound up being a 6-time winner and did win the debut by 5 3/4 going 3.5 furlongs. I don't know how you win by that kind of margin going 3.5 furlongs, but at least there's some precocity in the pedigree as well. So I wound up going to a new face because I just didn't love the races from those that had some experience in here.
That's completely fair. Yeah, I'm with you. And Picada Prince can win. I mean, your morning line favorite, but then they went to the turf, and it was an off-the-turf race the first time. So I don't necessarily know that I want this horse in what I think is a pretty open field as the favorite. We do have a sales work for the horse that will be the 2B, and that's Where's Chris, attracting Irad Ortiz Jr. for Rick Dutrow. I thought this was a pretty good sales work.
So Twirling Candy out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare.
Goes 10 1/5. Seemed very professional, have a decent stride on this horse. I couldn't put this one on top just as part of the entry, and I think the other half of the entry is going to take some money as well. But I thought this was just very workmanlike, and I didn't see much greenness or anything that needed to change dramatically for this one.
Yeah, Maker, Dutrow, with both parts, they're going to take a ton of money in here. They're
They
actually probably going to be favored in here, right? You would think?
I would think, yeah. Fun race, though.
If you are playing this pick 5, how much coverage do you want here?
I wouldn't want to go crazy in here. I would try to probably get past the coupled 1A, 1X entry. Maybe try to beat Picada Prince as well. But I'd throw in your horse. I'd throw in the number 6 Stunham, who just seemed like really needed the start first time out. And after they realized they weren't going to win, they were just like, okay, let's just wait for next time for the McPeak barn. So I would probably try to beat some of the shorter prices.
Linda Rice again. She's got a lot of work she's doing today. She'll have Picada Prince. Who do you think, trainer jockey to, wins this meet?
Oh, it's so early. And also, are we talking the whole time we're here, or just
we're
the
projecting.
BA? Or just for the Belmont at the Big A?
Belmont at the Big A, yeah.
I think Irad again.
Yeah.
I'll go Chad Brown for this one because I think we're going to see a resurgence of a lot of the turf horses that he wasn't able to showcase at Saratoga.
Okay.
What's your guess?
Yeah, I would think I'd lean Chad Brown, and I'm not sure how many days Irad Ortiz is going to be riding out of town. So that's interesting. I'm going to still think on that one.
Okay.
But yeah.
I wasn't given the option to just think about it.
No, I know. I asked you straight up. The person who asked the question, that's why I had to get in there first.
I know, right?
All right, race 7, 6 furlong, sprinting outer turf in this entry-level allowance coming up. Interesting race with some new faces, too. You wind up, what? We agree with Queen Ollie. We're going to actually, are we showing this race?
No, actually.
Oh, we're not. Who are we showing?
I showed Don't Look Back at All because this is a horse that's going to be a part of that favorite entry because you have that European runner coming in for the Clement barn as well. And I thought she ran pretty well in this start. I mean, Shoot Out the Lights got to relax pretty early on the front end and didn't have as much projected pace going after her. But I thought she made a pretty solid move having to go a little bit wide and being one of the only horses closing up some ground of all of them. So this entry just makes a lot of sense and is going to be a short price. I didn't want to pick a part of the entry on top. But she ran.
She did the other half of the entry, too. If she doesn't show up or if she gets impeded in some point. Look, Group 3 placed last time out, missed by a nose, but has never been soft good to soft, but at least a little bit of give in the turf today, so maybe that'll play into Lady Mia's hands for the debut coming up.
Right. It's not going to be anywhere near what she's experienced
No.
overseas so far. But, I mean, maybe you take the chance that she improves getting that firmer turf, or she can just flat out run.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Queen Ollie, I really liked this race from her last time out. I love the athleticism that she actually showed when she was kind of hugging the rail and how she kind of cut deep inside and stayed on the fence coming out of that turn into the stretch. And then the rail gets taken away from her, has to go to the 2-path. That gets taken away from her. Even the 3-path kind of gets taken away from her. Then finally she gets some room and is able to run, and you see what she can do. She kicks into gear and shows that turn of foot. If she can get some running room today in the stretch, I'm excited to see what she can do.
And that was a slow pace, too, that held together for that distance as well. So I like that she was one coming from off the pace, able to save the ground, but then waiting and waiting and waiting, just as you mentioned, and finally showing some semblance of a turn of foot. So I think with a cleaner ability to rally or in this race and getting out a little bit sooner, you know that she's capable of it. And also, if things get a little bit faster early, I know they don't often work that way around here, but I felt as though that pace last time was not that quick.
Okay.
Do you think it was pretty quick? Do you think it was decent?
I don't follow Laurel enough to know, to be
Okay.
honest. But yeah, look, I'm just more concerned with her getting room to run.
Right.
And if she can do that, she definitely got more comfortable when she was outside.
Also was first start in the U.S. as well, so could improve second time here with a little bit more time to acclimate to.
All right, race 8, back on the main track, 7/8, 40,000 claiming race, non-winners at 2 life. Good Lord. I'm embarrassed by my selection here. This race is particularly.
I don't think I've ever agreed with anyone so much.
This is uncanny.
This is uncomfortable.
These 3, especially these 3-year-old fillies, I just feel,
Right.
unless they're standouts, there's so much inconsistency with these runners. And Roman Goddess had to go to Horseshoe Indy to break her maiden. She's faced some good ones, obviously. Who's your filly first time out? Julia Shining, very distant third to her. She goes against Classy Bridget, who's a very talented sprinter we saw out of the Oaklawn circuit for a little while. I did think there was a lot of upside potentially with Divine Cross, who we both have second. But in the end, I just liked who she'd been facing. I liked that she did put in that first move. Are we showing her?
Yes. No?
Okay.
No, we're showing Ghostly Girl and Divine
Okay.
Cross later.
I just like the fact, too, that she kind of was up close. She had someone kind of on her hip throughout. And then she held off that challenge, too, all the way through the stretch. So I think that's a race maybe she can move forward off of a little bit. And no one else in here, to me, felt like they have a ton of upside.
Right, and it's her first time in for a tag, but given the kind of race that she was finally able to be successful in, it's likely that she just fits in a level like this. And she's also one, she doesn't need the lead, but she can be more forwardly placed. Just as you mentioned some of those horses that she's run against in the past, I think that she just really fits from a class standpoint. And she's another one that just, I trust her a little bit more than I do some of the other horses in here, particularly Ghostly Girl, who just is not a winning type of horse. And doesn't it seem like she was supposed to get the job done last time? Off the turf kind of situation.
Yeah.
Really
Even
seems
money favorite.
right. And she's been a short price on several occasions and failed to show up.
Yeah. Roman Goddess, too, may wind up being in front, especially with that post. But we're looking at, is this?
Ghostly Girl.
Ghostly Girl. So this is last time out, even money favorite.
There's just not much to recommend with her because there's no situation where she's even competitive with the top 2 in here, and with such a short price. She's been a short price without being able to get the win on several occasions throughout her career. And maybe you thought last time, okay, getting the drop in class, it's an off the turf race. She's the horse that has some dirt form going into it. She should have been more successful in a spot like that.
And look, off the claim there, and 2, the connections immediately say, look, we got to make a change. We don't like what we have here.
Right.
So we're putting the blinkers on, trying to mix it up. Sometimes it works out, not a great sign.
Yeah, no. There wasn't much to recommend with her.
All right, race 9, back on the grass. Mile and a 16th, I would assume we agree here. We do not.
No, we
wow.
don't. This was a tough race.
Non-winners at 3, 35,000 in here. Space Launch is going to be a pretty short price, I would think. It's just a massive drop in class. Christophe Clement, Manny Franco, and faced really good one in Pioneering Spirit. Before that, Julian, Portfolio Company, Jerry the Nipper. Any of those horses would be, 1 to 5 in this spot or shorter. And this horse, I thought this horse, even 5th, beat 7 lengths last time out, still ran pretty good in that race.
No, and I mean, if he runs his race, he's going to win in a spot like this, and we have to go back quite a ways to his last win, which is what we're showing here. My problem with him is that he doesn't win. He doesn't win. It's taken them a very long time to drop him in class, and he certainly is capable, and he might be the best horse in this race by a mile. But at the same time, are you really going to trust a horse at an extremely short price that the last time he won was not by a definitive margin, and he hasn't really been that competitive in some of his races lately? I know it's a world of tougher company.
That's the thing. It's just he's never faced this easy of company. And it's like dropping down to face high schoolers for a horse who's so much better. That's the way
You're
I
right.
saw it. I just
No,
think
you're
he's
right.
so much better than this group. I mean, yeah, and maybe he won't. Maybe he'll get some traffic issues. I just thought he was a massive standout.
That's fair. I mean, but if he doesn't run his race, or if he wasn't in here, isn't this a really interesting race outside of him?
No question. So you wind up with a 10 in here.
I do.
Ario. There's some other speed, though, too. Aren't you concerned with Spetro?
A little bit, and we do have a replay for Spetro and Ghostly Prince, because I think that if you do take the favorite out of a spot like this, you're looking at horses that are going to be much bigger prices that are actually very competitive at this level and really consistent as well. I mean, Ghostly Prince, in all of his races lately, he's shown up each and every single time, and I know he hasn't faced a horse like Space Launch, but he's not bad at this level, if you think about it.
Yeah, no, I have him second. I like him in here. Rudy Rodriguez, you get Flavien Prat back aboard too. Got up to win by a nose last time out. Yeah, to me, if Space Launch, if he's not the same horse, if he doesn't show up, I'd like Ghostly Prince.
And I feel like he's
Pretty strongly.
always overlooked in the wagering too. I mean, you've been able to get a pretty
I was at
fair
17
price,
to 1, yeah.
right, on him for the last several
Yeah,
starts
I was
of
just
his.
pace-wise, I was concerned. So Spetro in here, and those are slow fractions. That horse was able to
Right.
get to the front, but you still got to think they want to try and send. Who you got Ario, and then my Romeo Lima is another one that looks like that horse wants to be forward.
Right. With Ario, I really like that they've given him a little bit of time off of the race that he had last time. Now, maybe there was an issue that I don't know about, but he seemed like he really needed the race when he was making his first start of this year and didn't run that well, just being forward early and then fading in the later stages. But I feel as though he really showed a lot more, went second off the bench, and I thought that was a very game effort last time out when he ended up having to settle for third. I know he maybe isn't good enough if some of these horses run their better races that we've seen from them lately, or if Space Launch really is just the class of this field and he lays over this group. But I wanted to give him a chance with a horse that I thought would be forward without necessarily needing the lead to show up and run his race. And I like that he showed that tenacity last time.
Mm-hmm. And Space Launch, maybe second shortest price on the card today?
Maybe shortest, I don't know.
Yeah, potentially.
Maybe a lean for a lot of people in the later sequences.
Good luck. No, I like him too. I may lean there. Do you usually, if you have a lean and you love a horse like that, are you just stubborn and say I'm only going to play it that way, or do you play a backup ticket with some other horses as well and try and use singles and lean somewhere else?
If I really think that nobody's beating him and I picked him on top and there's just no way that anybody else gets past him, and I feel as though the race is so wide open without him, I would lean pretty heavily there. If I think that there's a viable alternative, even just one other horse that I think he gets beat, maybe I use that other horse as the backup somewhere else. Depends.
Race 10, close it out, sprinting outer turf. State bred maiden special weight to close out the card. And the 9 for you, Lorana, Christophe Clement, first-time starter. What'd you like with this Blame filly debuting?
I originally went to Boston Strong Mama, who ended up scratching out of here, but even though the dam never won, even though she raced 3 times in Europe, she's been a pretty decent producer so far at lower levels. 3 of the 7 foals won on debut. Another 2 were able to hit the board. So I like that there's enough precocity with this type of pedigree to win early. And don't you just kind of want somebody new? Because a couple of others at shorter prices have had their fair share of chances, like Soretta and Velouz. I'm getting a little bit tired of horses like that. And of course, Clement, he does very well. First-time starters, turf sprints. He's 16 for 67 over the past 5 years, 24%, a $2.81 ROI. So this is a successful move for him. That plus the pedigree was enough for me to shift and put this one on top.
Yeah, Velouz, interesting filly in here. I ran very good 2 starts back in that Saratoga race, and that's the race that Soretta was in as well, and I thought was completely the superior horse of Soretta that day. And then all of a sudden, off that, Clement puts blinkers on for one race and then just does not run her race at all. So now they come off. Was it that? Was it something else? Can she get back to that race without blinkers? which she'll be doing again today from that start to back. If she can, she can be obviously the horse to beat in here.
I know, but with both of them, don't they have so many of these races that make them winners in here? Very competitive. They've both run really well throughout their careers for the most part, but they just haven't won yet. And chances are piling up for both of them, to me.
I don't know if that's fair for Luz. I mean, the first start for her debut, I can always toss a debut.
Okay.
And say first time out, you let
Maybe you
the
toss
horse.
the dirt.
And the first couple of starts, had trouble out of the gate in both those two. And then her third try on the turf, she produced that effort.
Okay.
And then they make an equipment change. Yeah, I think Velouz, for me anyway, I've not. She's not like she's 0 for 9.
Okay, true.
She's only been on the 0 for 4, and actually 3 of those 4 turf starts, so I thought were very good. Having said that, I went in a different direction. I went with Shaman Princess in here. Turf debut, start number 6 after 5 tries on dirt. Broke out, stumbled a little bit in this turf debut. It was at Saratoga in that Velouz Soretta race as well. And then Manny, if you look at the race, kind of had strangled her back. I don't know what went on there, but just tried to take her out of the mix, and she sort of dropped back near to last in that race. And I guess maybe just trying to get her to settle a little bit. And I actually liked how she kind of ran on late in that race. There's a little bit of turf pedigree if you go a little bit deeper. The second dam actually did win a maiden special on the turf at Belmont, going 1 1/8. But I thought just maybe not comfortable that day. If she can break better. She showed a little bit of turn of foot on the grass, so I was interested. And you get Jose Lezcano, which is always a plus for me on the turf.
She's fast, too. I mean, she has that speed, but she doesn't necessarily need it. So I think that that's always good to have in your corner, of course, in a turf sprint.
Good luck, everybody. Opening day, Belmont at the Big A. We're excited. Some big races coming up as we kind of dig in and work our way to the Breeders' Cup.
I know. We have so many more Breeders' Cup type races, and of course the Win in Your Inns coming up later this meet. And I know we've had a crazy Saratoga, but let's just hope that after a little bit of a refresh, things go well here.
What division are you most looking forward to as we inch toward the Breeders' Cup?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel as though I always get excited about the juveniles. There's just so much promise, and I think we saw a lot of really solid performances at Saratoga over the summer. And I think that there's just so much of a competitive nature in a lot of the other divisions because we don't have that superstar yet. But with the 2-year-olds, we never really have that superstar yet going into these fall type of races, and you're always looking for somebody to start shining and assert themselves as that. So I think that that's more of the division where that's normal. October
7th, Champaign. We're going to have that for you live. We look forward to it. I hope you enjoy Talking Horses. Good luck to everybody. Reminder, again, you want to play all the action. Get signed up, started with Naira Bets, that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus. Put in that code MATCH200 at sign-up. Play along all meet long and beyond. We have a couple of pick fours this afternoon. The middle pick fours races 3 and 4 coming up as well for you. Again, our pick 5, because we have a jump race grade 1, that Lonesome Glory to kick things off. Pick 5 begins in race number 2, our first flat race of the day. $10,000 hit and split. Hit select wagers at the meet and split $10,000 on opening day. Go to the website, find out where those are. Opt in at nairabets.com. And our coverage today you can see on FS2, beginning 1 Eastern start time, 1 to 4 on FS2. Take a little bit of a break on there, and we pick things back up 5:30 to 6. Coverage will continue, though, throughout on our YouTube page at New York Racing Association. Enjoyed it?
This is fun.
Have a great opening day. Good luck to you.
Well, good luck to you, but it'll seem that everybody has to be on board with us if they're going to be successful since we agree so much. So.
We'll see how we do. All right, that's it. Good luck to everybody playing on opening day.
Born in the foothills of the Adirondacks over 150 years ago, the Saratoga brand has become synonymous with quality. Carefully crafted spring water. Each stunning blue glass bottle is created with the same attention to detail and care that has been the Saratoga hallmark for generations. So open a bottle, take a sip, and savor the Saratoga experience. Saratoga, an American classic that's always in good taste. Make every day exquisite.